Gold and silver just got a whole lot younger. How in the world could gold and silver get younger? Well, that's what we're going to talk about. What is good, Stackers University? I'm so glad you're joining me today because we're going to talk about a fascinating trend that really highlights the generational shift that's occurring, which will ultimately keep gold and silver remaining at these higher price levels, and dare I say, even forever. Do you know who we will have to thank for this? Believe it or not, this shift and change will be because of the millennials and Gen Z. I know. When it comes to millennials and Gen Z, many of us older folks have a lot of complaints about them, but this time they are in the process of getting something right. This is in spite of their choices of risky investments like cryptos, NFTs, and meme stocks. Regardless, as the data shows, they are finally starting to get one thing right, and that is their recent interest and, dare I say, the surge in gold and silver investments among millennials and Gen Z. Just like they like to steal our music from the past, it appears these young folks are going old school when it comes to gold and silver. Let's break it down with some eye-opening stats that blew me away. A recent study looked at wealthy investors under 43, and incredibly, they found that 90% of these young wealthy investors own gold or are interested in owning it. Specifically, according to the study that was done by Bank of America, that 90% is actually broken down by 45% who actually own gold as a physical asset and another 45% that are interested in holding it. Those are huge numbers. Now, I want you to take a guess. Which generation, boomers, Gen X, or millennials, do you think is allocating the larger percentage of their portfolio to gold and silver? Brace yourself. Millennials. Millennials are allocating 17% of their portfolios to gold, way more than boomers and Gen X, who are only allocating 10% each. While this shocked me, I also can't help but think that millennials are only number one because us older folks know that owning gold and silver is like being a part of Fight Club. And what's the number one rule of Fight Club? We don't talk about Fight Club or our gold and silver ownership. It is quite possible with their propensity to live their lives on social media and do things for the gram, Instagram, is why these younger folks haven't learned the importance of tuning to radio station KYMS. Keep your mouth shut when it comes to gold and silver ownership. I'm sorry, millennials. I just couldn't help but take a shot at you. Not only are we seeing millennials and Gen Z hold gold bullion, they are also buying silver jewelry in large numbers. Back in 2020, they accounted for an incredible 64% of silver jewelry purchases. Millennials and Gen Z are becoming significant players in the gold markets, not only in the US, but also worldwide. As we see young Chinese between the age of 25 and 34, they accounted for 59% of gold consumption in China in 2023. All this data leads to one obvious question. What is causing this shift with younger generations? I might get some hate for this, but I think that we can actually thank Bitcoin and cryptos for this popularity with these younger generations. Regardless of what you think or how you feel about cryptos, the younger generations, they're just believers. This same study that I was referring to found that approximately 1/3 of Gen Z and millennials' portfolios are dedicated to alternative investments and cryptocurrencies, compared to 60% for older generations. They also found that half of these younger folks own some form of cryptocurrency. It seems that their propensity to invest in cryptos and alternative investments makes them more open to owning gold and silver as an investment, especially during these times of economic uncertainty. While these younger generations aren't that old, many are old enough to remember and have lived through the great financial crisis of 2008, and more importantly, the boom of cryptos during the 2020s. These younger generations seem to be bred to distrust our traditional financial system, banks, and fiat currency, and now they're turning to gold and silver just like us. We just can't ignore the expansion of platforms that have also made it easier for this generation to invest in precious metals. No matter what, it's clear that our analog gold and silver are finding new and younger owners in this digital world. In addition to the central bank buying and strong retail buying in the East, the influence of Gen Z and millennials has contributed significantly to the shift in gold and silver prices here. Take a look at this chart of price predictions for 2024, and to the right, their revised predictions. Very quietly, the buying from these younger generations is actually contributing to the upward thrust of gold and silver prices. This information is interesting stuff, but if you're like me, you're kind of wondering, well, how can I use this information to position myself to make more money? Well, in order to do this, we need to understand what and how they are buying or likely to buy and sell gold. First, and this hurts my heart to say this, but I don't believe this will ultimately have a major impact on mining stocks, at least not at the beginning, maybe towards the end when people start to speculate. Second, while wealthy millennials and Gen Zers are split on physical gold ownership, the numbers are clear when you look at millennials specifically. In a different study, when they looked at millennials as a whole, they found that a majority of the millennials believe that gold ETFs are the best way to invest in gold. Specifically, 69% of millennials agreed, compared to 55% of baby boomers and 35% of Gen Xers. On top of that, the report also showed that the participants who hold gold ETFs are more likely to be millennials in general. In fact, gold ETFs have seen a surge in interest from younger investors as these young investors prefer digital forms like ETFs. This makes complete sense. I mean, they are the ones buying cryptocurrency, and digital to the thing. It also addresses the need for storage and provides quick online transactions that they prefer. Us older folks, we tend to like things in our hand, that whole if you don't hold it, you don't own it thing. Some proof of that is State Street's latest gold ETF impact study, which showed that more millennials are embracing gold ETFs as an investment, and in fact are now the dominant demographic holding gold in their portfolios. That's so bizarre to me. I do think that these are where the generational gaps show up. While the trend of younger investors turning to gold and silver is clear, it's important to note that they approach the investment differently than other generations. Millennials and Gen Z tend to purchase ETFs or paper gold and silver, and when they do purchase physical metals, they tend to favor smaller purchases like coins or small bars. And ultimately, they tend to incorporate precious metals kind of as a part of a broader, diversified kind of investment strategy. As economic uncertainties persist and younger generations continue to seek alternative investment options, I think the trend for gold and silver is going to be even more attractive to these younger buyers. And it's likely to continue, which ultimately means that there's almost an unexpected force that is going to be pushing prices higher and higher and setting a higher base for us, which we should be excited about. Admittedly, these younger generations don't have the same financial means as the older generations, but that doesn't matter as much when purchasing shares of ETF versus buying physical. I do believe that we'll see these younger generations move into the physical metals because of the lower purchase price. But we will have to see if there will be a significant player in moving the silver market, and I don't expect them to be in gold in the same level. No generation knows the power of social media like Gen Z and millennials, and no one understands the explosive power of being able to create FOMO amongst those people. So I do believe that we will be thanking these younger generations as we get further into the bull market and they start to share their precious metal pictures and things like that on social media, doing it for the gram, as that will actually help create a snowball effect, driving even more demand amongst their peers. Let's be honest, nobody wants to see you post a picture of your silver ETF holdings, but they are interested in looking at pretty coins, be it proofs or whatever it is that you post on your Instagram. Regardless, all we care about is that they're jumping on the precious metal bandwagon because it only means higher demand. And what happens when we have higher demand? Of course, we get higher prices. It doesn't matter if these generations are entering the market because the technology has made it easier to buy, because they want to diversify their portfolio, or they think the dollar is dying tomorrow. I think we all know that with a lower interest rate environment, the central bank demand, the political concerns, interpersonal tensions, the ballooning debt, the desire to de-dollarize, and all the other things we could think of, that there are a number of drivers for higher prices in 2025 and much into the future. And like Whitney used to say, I believe children are the future. As crazy as it may sound, our future, Gen Z and millennials, might just be the final push of retail buyers that we need to really kick off this bull market. In the comment section, go ahead and sound off. What do you think about Gen Z and millennials entering into the world of precious metals? Do you know anyone, or are you part of that generation of young precious metal investors? Or simply put an A+ in the comments to let everyone know that you always stack smarter and never stop learning.